Look, let me ask you something. How many times this week did you buy lunch at work? Maybe it was that $12 sandwich. Maybe it was a $15 burrito bowl. Nothing crazy, right? I mean, you gotta eat. And here's the thing. You're probably sitting there thinking, it's just lunch. It's not like I'm out here buying a new car every month. But what if I told you that this exact thinking, this "it's just" mentality, is the single biggest reason most people will never build wealth? And I'm not talking about some extreme budgeting nonsense where you eat rice and beans for 10 years. I'm talking about something way more interesting and honestly, way more disturbing about how our brains are literally wired to keep us broke. Stick with me for the next 8 minutes because what I'm about to show you will completely change how you see every single purchase you make. Okay, so let's do some real math here. Not the boring kind, the kind that actually matters to your life. Let's say you buy lunch 5 days a week at $15 a pop. That's $75 a week. Now, most people stop there. They think, okay, $75 a week, not great, but not terrible. But here's what nobody talks about. That's $3,900 a year just on lunch. Now, you might be thinking, okay, yeah, that's kind of a lot. But wait, it gets worse. See, what most people don't realize is that it's not just about the money you spent, it's about the money you didn't invest. Because here's the thing. If you took that same $3,900 every year and put it into a basic index fund averaging 10% annual returns, after 30 years, you'd have over $723,000. Let me say that again. Your lunch habit isn't costing you $4,000 a year. It's costing you $750,000 over your working career. And that's just lunch. We haven't even talked about the daily coffee, the weekend takeout, the "it's only $20" purchases on Amazon. According to a 2023 study by LendingTree, the average American spends $166 per month on subscription services they barely use. Add in the impulse purchases, the convenience spending, the treat-yourself moments, and suddenly we're talking about $12,000 to $15,000 a year in what I call invisible spending. But here's where it gets really interesting, because you already know this stuff is expensive. So why do we keep doing it? This is where the psychology comes in, and trust me, once you understand this, you'll never look at spending the same way again. There's this concept in behavioral economics called pain of paying. Basically, when we spend money, our brains register it as a form of pain. But, and this is crucial, small purchases barely register at all. Think about it. If I told you to write a check for $4,000 right now for your yearly lunches, you'd feel that. Your stomach would drop, you'd hesitate, you'd probably say no. But $15? That doesn't trigger the same response. It's what researchers call below the pain threshold. Your brain literally doesn't register it as a threat to your financial well-being. And companies know this. Why do you think everything is priced at $9.99 instead of $10? Why do you think payment plans are so popular? They're exploiting this psychological loophole in your brain. But here's what most people don't realize. It's not just about the pain of paying, it's about something called mental accounting. See, you've got this mental budget in your head, right? You think, okay, I can afford a $15 lunch because I make X dollars a year. But your brain is doing this calculation in isolation. It's not adding up all the other $15 decisions you're making throughout the week. It's like having 50 different checking accounts in your head and none of them talk to each other. So every small purchase feels justified because you're looking at it in a vacuum. Now here's where things get even more wild, because we're not just talking about lunch anymore. Let's look at the average person's small purchase spending pattern. And I'm pulling this from real data, a 2024 Bankrate survey of American spending habits. Daily coffee, $5. That's $1,825 a year. Lunch out, $15 times 5 days equals $75 a week, $3,900 a year. Weekend takeout, $40 times 2 times is $80 a week, $4,160 a year. Impulse online shopping, $100 a month, $1,200 a year. Subscription services, $166 a month, $2,000 a year. Convenience store runs, $30 a week, $1,560 a year. Add it all up, that's $14,645 per year in small purchases. Now here's the really shocking part. According to the Federal Reserve, the median American household has $5,300 in savings. You see what's happening here? The average person is spending nearly 3 times their entire savings every single year on stuff they barely remember buying. But wait, let's take this further. If you invested that $14,645 every year for 30 years at that same 10% return, you'd have $2.7 million. That's not a typo. $2.7 million. This is what I call the broke millionaire paradox. Most people are making millionaire-level financial decisions in reverse. They're literally spending their way out of 7-figure net worths $15 at a time. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this is depressing. Are you telling me I can never enjoy life, that I have to pack sad desk lunches forever? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is this. There's a fundamental identity shift that happens when you start understanding this stuff. And it's not about deprivation, it's about awareness. See, rich people don't think about purchases the same way broke people do. And I'm not talking about people who inherited money. I'm talking about self-made millionaires. There's a study from The Millionaire Next Door that found something fascinating. The average millionaire asks themselves one question before every purchase. Is this purchase moving me closer to or further away from financial independence? Not can I afford this, because technically, if it's in your bank account, you can afford it. The question is, should I? And here's the thing. Once you start asking that question, something weird happens. You start seeing these small purchases differently. That $15 lunch isn't just $15 anymore. It's a choice between temporary satisfaction and long-term freedom. It's the difference between working until you're 65 and potentially retiring at 50. And suddenly, making your own lunch doesn't feel like deprivation. It feels like paying your future self. All right, so let's get practical. What do you actually do with this information? First, I want you to do a 30-day awareness experiment. Don't change anything yet. Just track every single purchase under $50. Use an app, use a notebook, I don't care. Just write it down. Most people are shocked when they see the real number, because here's the thing, you can't fix what you can't see. Second, identify your default expensive decisions. These are the things you do automatically without thinking. For most people, it's lunch. For some, it's coffee. For others, it's online shopping when they're bored. Pick one to change. Just one. Maybe it's meal prepping on Sundays. Maybe it's making coffee at home 4 days a week instead of 5. Make it so easy you can't fail. Because here's what happens, and this is backed by research from behavioral scientist B.J. Fogg. Small wins create momentum. That $15 lunch you skipped, it makes you more likely to skip the impulse Amazon purchase later. Success breeds success. Third, automate your savings. Here's a rule I love. For every small purchase habit you break, immediately set up an automatic transfer for that amount into an investment account. Stopped buying lunch 3 times a week? That's $45. Set up a weekly automatic investment of $45. You won't miss it because you were already spending it, but now it's working for you instead of against you. Look, here's the bottom line. This isn't really about lunch. It's not about coffee. It's not even about money, really. It's about something bigger. It's about the life you want to live versus the life you're accidentally creating. Every $15 purchase is a vote. You're voting for either immediate gratification or future freedom. And most people are voting for immediate gratification hundreds of times a year without even realizing they're voting. The good news is, you can change your vote starting today. Not tomorrow, not Monday, today. Because here's what nobody tells you about building wealth. It's not about making more money. Most people who get raises just upgrade their lifestyle and stay broke. It's about making your current money work harder for you than you worked for it. And it all starts with understanding the trap, the $15 lunch trap, the small purchase trap, the it's just trap. Now you see it. The question is, what are you going to do about it? If this opened your eyes, hit that subscribe button, because next week we're breaking down something even more mind-blowing. Why people making $100,000 actually feel broker than people making $40,000. It's not what you think. See you then.